Welcome to another video on using airfoils to build our own glider. Today we're going to have a lot of delicate construction going on. We're going to be using sharp objects, so that means patience and care. You can go too quickly. It's very hard to go too slowly when you're making something like this. I hope I can demonstrate that. Also, there will be mistakes. Welcome to it. You're an engineer. I want to show you one right here. I was trying to make a hole for where the spar is going to go through, and it started to break off because I had the hole about 1/16 of an inch too low. You can see the little divot there. Well, we'll just have to make a new one, won't we? And we'll do that today. So I'm going to move the camera position. Before I do, just a reminder, Creeper Mug's still with us. Fine coffee. And if you can see the t-shirt, remember, if you're not careful, it's all fun and games until you end up in a cone. So let me move the camera position down so we can zoom in on this, and I will try to keep it in frame best I can, all right? There we go. Now these are the 4 cross sections we've cut out so far. As you can see, they'll be straight lined up on the leading edge, but there's a little bit of a narrowing on the trailing edge, and that's so that the wing will get narrower as we go out toward the wingtip. It's still the same airfoil that you all selected. Here we have the 1/8 inch dowel that I have been waiting for a long time. These, unfortunately, I can't find them made in America. This is a hardwood, not a balsa. Balsa can be cut into rectangles this small, but it's very hard to round them without just fragmenting them. Balsa is very, very light but very fragile wood. Now the idea is that these spars will be going through the middle of these cross sections here. See that? So this will be the weight bearer. This will hold the wing up and hold the fuselage to the wing. And so all the weight will come through this one and a second one that will come right about here. The second one's going to be tougher because I'm going to have a lot less room to make the hole for that 1/8 inch dowel to go through. By the way, when the dowels arrive, they are usually taped together. Carefully cut the tape. Don't pull them apart, you can break them. Unroll it like this. Unroll it, and then you'll take them off the tape. I have seen people break them before. Just mentioning it for a friend. Okay, now for here. I have a new airfoil cut out here, and I have the 2 holes for where the spars are going to pass through. This is at about 16% and just shy of 50%. Almost all of the lift will be occurring in the front half, so I don't mind having these spars look like they're a little bit too far forward. The back half will hold up just fine because all the weight and all the pressure is in between these two. So how do I cut a hole? You'd think drill. Drills don't work so well. I've got an 1/8 inch spar, so I have an 1/8 inch screw that I'm going to use here. And like everything, patience, folks. We don't want to hurry this. I'm just going to gently push this screw through. I don't want to tear the wood like I did back here. Now you can see how nicely that's going to go through, and it's starting to raise up the wood. That means it's all the way through on the other side. And it is. It is not 1/8 of an inch all the way through yet. I will need to make multiple passes from both sides to make sure I have a nice, neat hole. Okay, here's the hole so far. But as you can see, It is not thick enough. So we just make multiple passes. The next one I'll do from the other side. Not many people work with balsa wood anymore, but I do, and it's just kind of comforting. There it goes through again. And the more we gently do that, the more we'll enlarge the hole. Remember, you can always make a small hole larger. It's very tough to make a large hole smaller. Now, I will check with the dowel here. It's still not going through yet, so I will run it through another time or two. And this is that patience thing that I've told you about. You're making an airplane here. You might as well start developing good habits of doing things right. And now you understand why when you see NASA going, it'll take 7 years to make the rocket, that's because we're doing everything almost by hand. Recently, they just had a launch of 7 satellites from the Pegasus missile, which is carried below an old Lockheed L-1011. Used to be a passenger plane 30 or 40 years ago. They had to do all the work by hand, no power tools on it, because power tools might cause static electricity and sparks, and that might damage the delicate electronics in the missile, and worse, make it so that it would not be able to launch from the airplane. Did that take a while? Oh yes. Was it worth it? 7 satellites launched from the belly of an airplane. Now let's see how close we are to this now. There we are. You see how big it has to be. We'll just continue to work on that. If I need to, maybe I'll go to a 3/16 inch screw. But this is just the sort of patience that you need. Okay? It's got to be done. That felt like it enlarged it a bit. Anyway, that's how I make the holes, and I'll go through it over and over again. Now to cut out the airfoil itself. In an odd twist, and nature is not without irony, a curved blade is better at cutting straight lines. A straight blade is better at cutting curved lines. It's hard with this giant curved section to maneuver, so I will use the very tip to slowly work the curves, like here on the nose, on the leading edge. But as we go back toward the trailing edge, and I've already cut some lines to guide me, I just gently go over these over and over again. If I press too quickly and cut through too much, I'll shatter the wood, and I don't want that. You can see how much shallower the cuts are here on the curved section, and I just have to go over it over and over and over again. Hope you can see that. Don't get lazy and tilt this, because then I will have cross sections that won't be the same. So I have to keep it straight up, and that's why my hand looks a little bit awkward. Here on this straight bottom part, I can really go to town, but I still don't want to cut too much at any one time. I want to let the sharp blade gradually cut through the different layers of the wood. Remember, wood is fibrous, and so you have all these different interconnected fibers, and we need to cut them a few at a time. This will take forever. No, about 15 to 20 minutes per section. And besides, it's not like you're doing a lot of other things right now, eh? Oh, I had to remind us of that. Yeah, I did. This is definitely a worketh patience moment. The more careful you are, the better the final result. That will be especially true for your hole. Remember right here, I got too quick on it, and as you can see, I shattered the wood. Just take your time. You can do this. These might be easier on the small ones, might shatter more. I don't know. So we'll just take it as easily as we can. In the past, I've used cardboard for these. It works, but I'm trying to use balsa to make a longer, stronger wing. Okay? So now you can see what we have here. This is really beginning to come along nicely. This will be the longest and thickest of the pieces, so that will go nearest to the fuselage. So if we were lining them up, this is going to be the longest one, and that would go farthest toward the wing root. Sorry for the fingers there, but I hope this has been a good video for you. It teaches you that you can go slowly and surely and get a really good product, and when this thing flies, oh, are we going to have fun. All right? Look forward to seeing you the next time when we start actually putting in some of the ribs, the spars together. We'll start gluing them, and we'll start really seeing the airplane take shape. Thanks a lot.